Raissa de Haas is the co-founder of Double Dutch Drinks.
People thought it was kind of a bit of a jokey, like two twins starting a mixer brand, just want to party. It's not really serious, but we were very serious.
To balance, actually, you're right, having, the scalability of being listed in Target, and the US is like a giant in comparison to the UK in terms of, store doors and rate of sale and everything that's involved with it. But then also letting people know your brand and telling them it's on shelf, that's the second hardest part of it. Definitely, and you guys are very different. Like, you do taste incredibly different as well. So there's definitely a place for both of you because you offer something that's quite unique. Like, you guys have really cool flavors and everything you put together, the botanicals, your look is different. So yeah, I can see how you totally deserve your place.
Yeah, we were at Taste of London a few weeks ago.
I saw you guys there.
And for example, the brand next to us, a big beer brand, the rumor was that they spent £1 million on their stand, 5 days.
They spent £1 million at Taste of London.
And we were very busy and they were consistently empty. So then we thought, wow, they probably don't even care.
What are your long-term goals for Double Dutch? Where do you see the business going? Obviously, our domination and like you guys doing this and other brands crossing that, hitting that line on the graph where you go like this and they come down.
Before we get into today's episode, I want to give a shout out to a special sponsor, Sam Lawrence Recruitment. We all know that finding the right people or the right job can feel really overwhelming, and that's exactly where Sam comes in. He really just gets it. It's not just about ticking boxes, it's about connecting the right people with the right opportunities. He takes the time to understand you and exactly what you're looking for, whether you're building a team or taking that next career leap. So definitely get in touch. Trust me, you'll be glad you did. At Getting to Grow, I believe that growth starts with connection. And that's where our sponsor, We Are All Marketing, comes in. I'm super excited to be partnering with Vic and the team over at We Are All Marketing. They're not just a marketing agency, they're storytellers, strategists, and your biggest advocates. Whether you're building a brand, launching a product, or strengthening your digital presence, We Are All Marketing helps you turn ideas into impact. With a personalized, results-driven approach, they ensure your vision reaches the right audience in the right way. Ready to grow your business? Visit weareallmarketing.com and see how they can help you thrive. Getting to Grow is also brought to you by the Coconut Collab. And full disclosure, as I'm sure most of you are aware, I work there, so I know how much love goes into everything that we make. We're all about creating delicious, dairy-free, plant-based treats that do not compromise on taste. From our creamy yogurts to our indulgent desserts, everything's made with coconuts and a whole lot of care. If you're looking for something naturally good but seriously tasty, and my favourite is just our natural coconut yogurt, I have it most mornings with granola and lots of honey. Trust me, you're going to absolutely love it.
All good? Fab. So, hello, welcome. Thank you so much for spending your Tuesday evening with me here in Soho House in Balham. We've got a very special guest on this evening. We've got Raissa de Haas, who is the co-founder of Double Dutch Tonics, who are the challenger brand taking on Fevertree. So when I was doing my research, finding out everything about you, I didn't quite know how to condense your bio. So you have to bear with me. I've had to actually bring my iPad for this because it was an amazing list of achievements that I was like, I'm not going to be able to remember this all off by heart. So Raissa de Haas is the co-founder of Double Dutch Drinks. Born in the Netherlands, Raissa's journey into the world of premium mixers began alongside her twin sister Joyce, who I actually met and was first introduced to when I did a panel not that long ago at the Ned. And then I said, you must come on my podcast. We've got to do one. During her studies at UCL. The sisters identified a gap in the market for a high-quality, versatile mixer that could complement a variety of spirits, leading to the birth of Double Dutch in 2015. Raissa's academic background includes a degree in finance, which she pursued at UCL. The educational foundation, combined with her natural entrepreneurial spirit, allowed her to navigate the complexities of starting and scaling businesses in a very competitive industry. Double Dutch has rapidly expanded, and its product line and market reach, which before you all head off, you must grab a little goodie bag because there's a couple in there for you all to take home so you can try them. Alongside her sister, she was named in the Forbes 30 Under 30 list in the food and drink category, recognizing their significant impact on the drinks industry at a young age. And Double Dutch has also gained several prestigious awards, including I love this word. I was like, I need to keep this in my vocabulary. Foodpreneur, which is just fabulous, award by Richard Branson. understanding how they've been super successful in what they do. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much.
Big bio. So I've obviously introduced your amazing awards, but what we're here to talk about obviously is how you started Double Dutch and what led you to, I guess, take on the big boys in a very competitive, but also incredibly male-dominated industry. So would you like to introduce yourself? And I will start talking. And also, what inspired you to start Double Dutch?
Thank you. That was a great intro. I started Double Dutch because, so we are Dutch twins, hence the name Double Dutch. And we kind of just grew up a little bit drunk. We had parents who, the house where we grew up in the Netherlands, because gin was originally invented there, you still have lots of houses that have some kind of affiliation with that distilling history. And the house where we grew up in, there was some kind of distillery wine warehouse in our back garden. So when we moved there, our parents thought, pretty fun, very random, but what to do with it. So they started organizing lots of parties and tasting kind of parties every last Friday of the month. And so because of that, Joyce and I, we grew up knowing lots of the local distilleries of Genevers and gins. And we just built up a big passion for quality drinks. And then when we became a bit older and we started organizing our own parties, we thought there are so many amazing gins and amazing vodkas, but choice of mixers are really boring. And there wasn't really any flavor innovation. So we started making our own sodas in our kitchen by heating up syrups and then adding sparkling water. So very primitive. Some were nice, some were not so nice. But then kind of during uni, our friends started calling us the tonic twins. And it was kind of a fun thing to do. Never thought about doing anything serious with it. Graduated, started working in banking, absolutely hated it. Thought there must be more fun things in life.
What were you doing when you were in banking?
Private wealth management.
Okay.
And Joyce in a kind of corporate, not for us. So we kind of thought, we studied 4 years of finance-ish, kind of similar, and we really don't like it. So we quit our jobs around the same time, because then we thought our parents can't be so angry if we quit our jobs together. And then moved to London to study at UCL here. And we came to London, and bartending was a real career here. And you have so many amazing hospitality venues. And gins was really booming. And you had all these kind of crazy flavored gins. But choice of mixers was really kind of as boring as back home. So we wrote our dissertation here about the fact that gins were massively booming, but choice of mixers, which is a complementary product, wasn't in the same growth line. And then our university gave us a prize for best business ID.
Like a young entrepreneurial scheme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they said, so I wrote my dissertation about the concept of Double Dutch, which was more flavorful mixers, not just for gins, but also for vodkas and tequilas, and to make cocktails very easily and nicely, and lowering calories, and a bit more fun and younger and vibrant, and just a kind of cooler positioning. And then our university gave us some free money to start Double Dutch. But one of the requirements to get that funding was to stay in the UK and make the UK company. And then we thought, why not? So then we started here.
My gosh. So you quit your jobs at the same time.
Yeah.
And you thought actually your parents then won't be angry if you quit together, because you've got like a kind of a barrier to be both angry at.
Yeah, then they only had 2 child. So
yeah. That's quite fun.
Yeah.
And your kind of journey from being in finance and taking the leap, was it quite scary, I guess, because you'd come to England with that career to pursue? So taking that, mum and dad were going to totally change our career. Did you both go, are we going to do this? Was it kind of that kind of moment, or was it a slow, more gradual?
Slow, more gradual. And didn't really think about doing this when we came here. And we started straight after uni-ish. I mean, we had a bit of that finance background, but then came here to study again. So I think we didn't really have anything to lose when we started Double Dutch, and we didn't really have a big salary to give up, so it was actually quite fine.
And in the beginning, what were some of like the biggest challenges that you came up against when you first started Double Dutch?
I think lots of challenges. The biggest challenge, I think the biggest challenge when we started was that everything was so set up around the big kind of drinks brands and manufacturing, and the minimum glass supply was like 500,000 bottles and minimum crown caps and like the stupid things like the tray where the drinks come into were 1 million units. Like those things we never really thought about. But I think over the years that's definitely improved. And I think now the environment is much more craft and kind of startup friendly. So we had some very terrible terms that we have to give to our first suppliers. And another thing that we didn't think about was, so our main channel is bars, restaurants, hotels, hospitality. But we did a year or I wrote my dissertation about Double Dutch, did a year of market research and never came to find out that bars don't buy from brands directly, but they buy from wholesalers. But the wholesaler doesn't want to stock you if you don't have any customers. So it's kind of like chicken and the egg. So then we sold our soul to our first wholesaler to get them on board. But
as in within like pricing and that kind of thing?
We basically give everything for free and we gave them kind of sale return, 90 days payment terms, exclusivity for
really
4 months. Terrible, but at least we got our first customers.
And with manufacturing, obviously, because you, I guess, had like no customers at the start, so you had to obviously do your first production. Did you have to pay for all of that up front? Because I guess the manufacturer wouldn't know that you had the means to pay for it in 30 days. So did you have to say, make this production run and give you payment? Because I guess, did you have then the funding at the start to kind of help you through that period?
We got a little bit of money from UCL, which was kind of £10,000. We thought it's gonna take us 6 months, but it was 2 weeks later it was gone. And our first production, we didn't have the money then. So then we just, we produced our first bottles ourselves in a factory at night and they didn't run. And then we kind of did it like hand bottled bottles. Yeah.
Can you share at the beginning, I guess, any like kind of pivotal breakthroughs that you had when you thought, actually, this has got legs. Like we're going to kind of get to the point where we need to be. And I can tell mum and dad we quit our jobs for a reason.
I think the first kind of that really helped us was when we won the Foodpreneur Award from Richard Branson. Because we were kind of 6 months in or something. And it just gave us a lot of credibility because we won the awards and then kind of a big name like Richard Branson kind of stood behind us, and that really helped us to sell that into bigger customers. And we got a really big piece in the Evening Standard and a few kind of big media coverages. And that made then customers think that we were much bigger than we were. And that kind of just helped give us a little bit of the credibility that we needed. And
at the start, did you have a route to market idea? Did you want to start in hotels, in restaurants, in catering? Or did you think, I know you say now that like predominantly your business is hospitality, but did you have more of an idea, actually Tesco, Waitrose and Sainsbury's, they're going to be our customers? Or was it always, we want to sell in hotels and restaurants and be in the on-trade?
We focused on the on-trade from the start because I do really believe that brands are being built in hospitality and the bartender giving you that great experience. And then if you have a great experience, then you try it again in another place. And I think also the benefit from hospitality is that then our revenue was kind of spread out to lots of different customers. If then maybe someone would delist us, it's not as bad as having 5 customers with a Tesco, Waitrose and Sainsbury's, and then Tesco delists you, kind of a third of your whole revenue gone. But I think also less, I think maybe more informal, less kind of hard. It's a bit kind of an easier way, maybe first few customers into hospitality and then you have the bigger groups. And
it's also fun, like they're working with this hospitality. Exactly. They're really good fun because you get to work with chefs. You get to think about, you know, how you're mixing your drink, whereas selling into a retailer is mine and a couple of my friends in the audience's background. It is good fun, but, you know, working with them on the recipes, that's kind of where I get my like love of the food industry. Yeah. So I totally understand and that kind of side of it. Question now is going to be around the drinks industry and working in a very heavy male-dominated industry. So when I think of the drinks industry, I think of kind of like big whiskey brands and like heavily male and trying to navigate your way through like Jack Daniels and like big names, although that's like alcohol, but still heavily dominates the industry. And I guess women hadn't really come in and broken through that yet. So talk to me a little bit about what, as a kind of woman working in that industry and going to pitches, and did you ever feel intimidated, or was everybody really respectful? And what's your kind of tactic?
I think the negative is that, especially when we just started and people thought it was kind of a bit of a jokey, like, two twins starting a mixer brand, just want to party. It's not really serious. But we were very serious.
Alongside the partying.
Exactly. So I think we just had to kind of prove ourselves more. But I do think that there is also lots of benefits on it. And I think it did make us stand out more because we were different. And I think so we kind of used it to our benefit. And I think it helped us with our positioning and our kind of authentic story. And I do think also over the past 8 years or 9 years, the whole industry has changed a lot in the positive. And our buyers used to be all male, and now we have lots of women in lots of senior positionings that we have to sell to, and lots of our buyers are now women. And I do think it's changing a lot.
Did you have a female mentor at all that was like quite inspirational for you?
Actually, not a female. We had great mentors, but all male for some reason.
Oh, really?
Never thought about it.
Richard?
No, but do have great kind of women in my life that are not necessarily, for example, our mom, we talk business with her also a lot, and kind of outside of business, but lots of kind of, and friends, and so not per se kind of really double-edged mentors, but in life.
I guess also working alongside your sister, she was probably like a big part, like, I guess mentor would maybe not the right word, but she was a really, like, you guys bounced off each other. I know if I was to work with my brother, he is the opposite to me. So he's all numbers and like strategy, and I'm the opposite. I'm like, oh, let's do this and let's do that. So do you guys have that relationship where you're like more sales and marketing and she's more kind of operations and finance?
Yeah, we split our roles very much.
Oh, really?
Joyce does ops and finance.
Okay,
and I
fine.
do sales and marketing. Because we need to split it, because otherwise it's too much overlap. And
yeah. You also don't want to be working with someone that you're really similar like, because generally like that would be a clash, right?
Yeah.
What advice would you give to other women working in a heavily male-dominated industry, whether it is finance or drinks? I'm thinking finance because I think of finance as men in the city with gilets looking at you.
I think embracing the differences, and I think looking at it from a positive thing, that it does make you stand out. And I think if kind of we were selling into Zoe House or into a bar and restaurant, and then the guy after us would walk. I mean, bartenders, they get to see so many people that are trying to pitch in their product, and then the guy after us in a suit tries and sell another thing, and then after it's another guy in a suit. I think they also embrace some differences and want to not have the same old all day. So I think probably as a woman in finance, there's lots of benefits to take from, and people want to not have the same conversations and the same products and the same. So I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. And
embracing it.
And if you've got it, a little bit of flirting. Sometimes help win a few listings, won't lie. That's okay. We can do that. How do you develop new flavors and kind of the process behind it? So what's your favorite double Dutch flavor?
That's like choosing between children.
Okay. I know who my parents would pick.
You?
No, my brother. He's golden boy.
I don't believe that.
He is. It's fine.
Still kind of two initial flavors: pomegranate and basil, and cucumber watermelon.
Pomegranate and basil. It sounds like a Jo Malone fragrance.
Yeah. There's some in the goodie bags.
Some in the goodie bags.
And flavor development is just super fun. And we still kind of we do our initial flavor development ourselves very primitively. And then we work with a great team who improve our recipes. We do lots of tastings. And we do kind of smaller trials with our cute customers, and we get everyone involved, and it's a great process.
So community is obviously like a really big part of how you then gather new flavors. So how do you manage your community? Do you have a kind of a newsletter or like a WhatsApp group? Is it on that personal level?
A bit of everything. We have kind of our 50 kind of best customers that we kind of get involved in kind of on a day-to-day. But then we do lots on kind of all charity work, and everything we do is around female entrepreneurship and female sport. So we do every year a female bartender scholarship where we fund 12 up-and-coming female bartender talent in the UK. And so we ran it for the 4th year this year. It just finished. We had our graduation.
So no men can enter.
No, it's not allowed. It's not allowed. We are not so inclusive. And so they also are part of it. And so we've got some great groups of people.
And how do you develop like new flavors, but still maintain kind of the core identity of Double Dutch? Because Double Dutch is a delicious premium mixer, and staying within that realm, you always want to make sure that everything you're bringing out to market is incredibly like true to what you do, you know, your flavors. So how do you keep with that innovation? How do trends come up? I'm trying to think of like what's new and up and coming in flavors. Like I wouldn't know where to go and look for that inspiration.
We look a lot at food, and what's popular there and what flavors are then kind of slowly coming into drinks, and lots of kind of different cultural styles that we look at. But I think the balance of doing new innovation and new products versus we already have 13 flavors in 5 different packages with different back labels. So we have 120 SKUs, and stock holding is an issue, and we all have a shelf life. And so convincing our ops team and then our sales team to do new products is always kind of a bit of a struggle. So it's a balance.
So obviously Double Dutch was inspired by your parents buying a home that had a distillery-ish thing in the background, which is kind of amazing because that's how it all started. And now you're a recognised brand, you're sold in Soho House, you know, across the on-trade. So what strategies did you put in place to scale it from this idea from, you know, when you were younger to kind of now the household brand that it is? Tell us all your secrets.
I wish it was such a...
I know. It's such a hard question because obviously it isn't one straight road.
I think we stuck well to premium, and our channel is premium hospitality venues. And I think that also meant we had to say no to lots of opportunities kind of along the way.
Was that really hard?
I think it's very hard in the beginning because you then get such a revenue opportunity that's massive and then it looks very attractive. But
could you share an example of one that you had to turn down that was...
With Richard Branson, he flew us over to the US to pitch for Target supermarket chain. And then eventually got that listing. But then we thought Target, I think it was across 32 states in 300 stores or something. So that first order was amazing. But then we thought we don't have any marketing budgets. We don't have any... We really can't...
Surely Richard could spare a few bob to help.
Was he going to do that?
You'd think. He's throwing you out there.
Not even invited to Necker Island.
That's true. Yeah.
So and then we said no. And I think in the end it was good because I think if we would have gone ahead with the deal, then we probably would have had one order. Nobody knew it on the shelf. There wasn't probably any rate of sale. So I think in the end it was good.
It's such a balance, actually. You're right. Having... you know, the scalability of being listed in Target, and the US is like a giant in comparison to the UK in terms of, you know, store doors and rate of sale and everything that's involved with it. But then also letting people know your brand and telling them it's on shelf. That's the second hardest part of it. So yes, you've got the listing and you're there. And then it's like, right, how do I get people to buy the product? It's almost like that's the easy part. It's now the hard work starts. And without budget for America, like I don't know how you'd crack it. Like it'd be so tough. Unless you went viral now on TikTok, which would probably help nowadays.
How do you get viral?
Yeah, the algorithm is so confusing. I don't understand it myself. Could you discuss some of your sustainability initiatives? I know that you are super conscious of this, just like the sustainable. That doesn't make any sense. You're super conscious of the planet and everything like that's involved with keeping your brand in sustainability initiatives. So yeah, if you could share some, that'd be great.
We are finally B Corp, which was super...
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. It was
Such
a long
2-year
process.
Explain to everyone sat in the room that doesn't know what B Corp is.
So B Corp is kind of the most, I think, well-known kind of thick certification for sustainability, ESG, kind of CSR, wider practices, not just on sustainability, but also kind of looks at kind of wider company, how you are with your team to kind of equal inclusion, kind of wider everything, doing business the right way. So we are the only mixer brand globally that is B Corp. So it's been a long road. I think that was the only thing that was good out of COVID, that we all took a step back and then thought, okay, what are really important basics that we now need to get right? And whilst hospitality is closed, what are we going to do? Pursue B Corp and do all kind of improvements on our supply chain. And so we calculate every year our carbon footprint, but that in itself is a massive process, because we calculate kind of even how many miles our sales team does in a car versus their tubes. I mean, we calculate every single thing. And then we have kind of our reducing targets of our carbon footprint every year, which is also a challenge with a growing team. And then what we still produce, we offset that with a reforestation program in Somerset.
Wow! So it's like a whole 360 kind of big approach. Amazing.
So it's lots of fun, but it's definitely heavy on our ops team, because sales is kind of the most important, but then the sustainability sneaks in and it's important. So that's why we set ourselves goals as well, because otherwise, I think that's a good thing about B Corp. They also hold yourself accountable, and
I think as well, customers now really expect that transparency. They want to know that the brands that they're buying are doing things that are good for the planet, and they want to see that when they're looking at the packaging and things like that. So I think everything that you're doing is really important. It's now just like shouting about it and making sure that people are aware. And that's also like another part of why brand and, the social media part really comes into it. Can you share a significant setback that you encountered and then how you got over it? And I know we spoke about obviously the Target example, but any other big setbacks? Did you have ever like a massive no and then thought, oh my gosh, I'm so deflated?
I think lots of no's. I think hospitality it's a competitive market, and also because we always, as a mixer brand, we are the only mixer brand in a bar or restaurant. So we are never like a gin brand, maybe that a bar would stock 3 or 4 or maybe 10 gin brands. So you can be one of them. We are always to be the only mixer, because.
So is that in your pitch, or is that what hospitality?
Hospitality.
Really? I didn't realize that. So every bar that you go into that only have one type of, one brand, of mixer.
Yeah, mostly. So it's super competitive, but so the benefit is when you get a deal, it's automated, really good volumes, but it's such a long kind of contractual waiting game. So it's lots of no's. Definitely consistently more no's than yeses, but so you need to have a hard skin, I think.
And competition in the industry, how do you view them? And how would you say they have, like, what have you learned from the big boys out there? And when I say that, I'm thinking of the obvious here, Fever Tree, who's probably your biggest competitor in this. Yeah. They're a bit long in the tooth though, so we need a challenger. So absolutely. I like it. Bit of a challenge. But what would you say you've learned from the likes of Fever Tree?
They, for us, completely opened the market of premium mixers, which didn't really exist before Fever Tree. And before Fever Tree, it was just mixers, and it was Schweppes and Britvic and maybe an On Again, but that whole premiumization in mixers didn't really exist. So they've done all the hard work for us.
Yeah, they kind of pioneered the category,
exactly,
I guess.
Yeah. So I think that's amazing. And I'm very much a big fan of, doesn't need to be reinventing the wheel. So I think that's been super helpful for us. And lots that they do have been, they've had an amazing track record. But I do think that, I really believe that the mixer market or premium mixer market is one of the only categories in food and drinks where there's basically only one kind of dominant player. And if you look at gins, vodkas, tequilas, water, there are 3-4 kind of dominant player in each different category, or champagnes, or so. I believe that the market is big enough for multiple premium mixers, and absolutely Double Dutch should be one of those.
Definitely, and you guys are very different. Like, you do taste incredibly different as well. So there's definitely a place for both of you, because you offer something that's quite unique. Like, you guys have really cool flavors and everything you put together. The botanicals, your look is different. So yeah, I can see how you you totally deserve your place. And as you said, actually, I didn't think about it like that. There isn't that many brands.
Yeah, no.
Which, when you think about it and sit back, actually, there's water. There's so many brands of water. Where's a really fun place that like we'd be able to go and get you in hospitality? Obviously,
Soho House.
Talk to me, actually, let's talk about the pitch to Soho House. So how did you get in touch with the guys at Soho House? How did you get into like in front of the food people here? The drink people, sorry.
We were a member of Zoe House. So we were always seeing gin and tonics with another brand, and it was just soul crashing.
Yeah.
And we kept stalking the buyer, and then one day he said, "Okay, I'll come and see you." And then we just kept stalking for years, and then eventually they clicked.
Yeah, it's kind of just like keeping in the forefront, isn't it? Hi, I'm here again.
Exactly.
Hi.
Yeah. No, but Soho House are amazing, and they've been super supportive, and it's such a great group of accounts.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I mean, they support me with my podcast, so thank you, Soho House. So obviously as well, like when you start a brand, you don't tend to think of like, the 6-7 year plan. You're still in the early stage. You're very excited about everything. And alongside growing a brand comes with managing people. And that's also a really big challenge as well as benefit. It's really great to mentor and like take people through that. What would you say your leadership style is when it comes to managing people?
I think managing people is super challenging. Also because we didn't really have any experience working in a corporate environment. So we never really got kind of that experience. So I think it's definitely one of the most challenging things growing business. I think my leadership style is very work hard players in the kind of sense that I think everyone definitely, it's a bit chaotic and everyone's kind of hands-on, but then we do have lots of fun moments and we are in such a fun industry. I think I find it super important that no one in the team asks anyone in the team what they wouldn't do themselves. So we all do kind of packing stuff as well as making also everyone in senior management as well. And I think that's super important.
Yeah. Diverting actually, because I just had a really good thought about marketing, going slightly back to my point with mixing with the big brands in the industry. Haha, mixing. Did everyone like that? No one laughed. Not that funny, clearly. But yeah, exactly. We'll edit that out. No one laughed. With obviously, again, the big brands, they've got really deep pockets when it comes to marketing and branding and the events that they put on and, Schweppes. How do you make sure that you have that presence for your customers when they're seeing out, like you guys out and about at events, or if you're sponsoring, like Waterloo I've seen lots of brands have the kind of centre stage in Waterloo. How do you make your presence in such a crowded and very expensive market?
Try to do a few things well, which is always difficult. I think the bigger brands, they are quite slow in, I think, for example, digital and anything kind of social media, they don't do that well. So we do a lot there. And events and festivals, the only thing that we can do better is do more fun things, more activations, more kind of standout, different things. And whilst maybe then the others are just sampling, we have a DJ booth, we have crazy kind of fun kind of acrobats or whatever. So we
I
kind
like
of
that. Yeah,
try to make a party of it.
Work hard, play hard's coming out.
Yeah. So just trying to do things differently, but we definitely don't have any kind of same budget.
Yeah, I can't even imagine the budgets they have when it comes to their events and things like that. It must be. And do you focus on B2B events, or do you do lots of business to like consumer events? So like the trade. So I'm thinking like things like Taste of London, where everyone can buy a ticket, go in and see loads of brands and have fun and eat and drink.
Yeah, we were at Taste of London a few weeks ago.
I saw you guys there.
Great. And for example, the brand next to us, a big beer brand, the rumor was that they spent £1 million on their stand, 5 days.
They spent £1 million
£1 million
at Taste of London.
And we were very busy and they were consistently empty. So then we thought, wow, they probably don't even care. Yeah, terrible.
£1 million for 5 days. Gosh. Marketing is so expensive, isn't it?
In my house, that's
yeah. Lots of houses.
Few.
Not in London, actually. one and a bit, maybe. And with that in mind, of them having kind of deep pockets and you guys differentiating and making your presence, has that really helped you kind of put yourself on the map by having something different against those big brands?
I do think so. And I do think people want to support the underdog.
Yeah.
And I do think that London in particular, or UK, I think people really kind of are voting for craft and smaller companies and real stories. And so I do think it's a good environment here. Absolutely.
Yeah, Taste of London was a lot of fun, actually. What are your long-term goals for Double Dutch? Where do you see the business going? Obviously, our domination and like you guys doing this and other brands doing, crossing
exactly
that, hitting that line on the graph where you go like this and they come down.
Just growing our distribution and really becoming a household name. Growing our deeper distribution in the UK, in hospitality and on-trade businesses, but also abroad in our core markets, Belgium, Netherlands, Italy, UAE.
And do you export? Obviously, you are Dutch. Do you have lots of presence in other countries? I obviously only see you only in the UK.
We export to about 40 countries, but 5 countries are kind of our main markets, of which the Netherlands. So definitely we're putting a lot of focus in Belgium and Netherlands as well at the moment. And
because all your products are in glass bottles, has that been tricky, transporting glass? Have you had containers that have arrived and you've been like, oh my gosh, everything's broken?
Luckily not.
Okay, good.
We have had stupid things like in the beginning, a container that we sent to Austria arrived in Australia. I mean, stupid things like that. Yeah.
No, I've seen this.
Yeah.
People have been doing this. They've been getting on a plane to Australia.
Apparently, there's in the Austrian airport, there's a desk for people
that fly
we had
to Austria
like that.
instead of Australia.
I know.
How do you do that?
Yeah, we had stock. Maybe it wasn't Australia, but we had kind of specifically Arabian labeled or whatever for the UAE sent in to South Africa. So things like that. That's just so expensive to then send it all back. So then we just kept it there, but it was completely useless. So stupid mistakes like logistics and warehousing that goes the wrong way.
Yeah, I was speaking to a company that was selling ice cream, and they shipped a container across the seas, and the minus had gone from the label. So instead of it being at minus 30, the minus had like been rubbed off. It didn't go to quite plus 30, but it basically went above freezing, and they thought it'd be fine because they thought, oh, clearly the products can be warm. And obviously everything arrived, and it was like, that's a lot of, that's cash that they've just literally melted away. So I was wondering if you'd had any like dramas at the start, but obviously you've been fabulous. That really worked.
not at all.
When I think of the supermarket we've spoken a lot about the on-trade. There's obviously the likes of like Schweppes and kind of those big bottles to take home. Is that something that you would think about? Obviously your glass. So FIFA2, I think, have a big glass liter, don't they? Is that something that you look at as NPD?
We have 150 ml kind of small cans now. We do them in 6-packs kind of for example, Ocado and online. So it's definitely something for the future, but at the moment our focus is hospitality, but at some point we will.
And looking back over the past, since 2015, since you started, you realise I couldn't do math then because I had to decide again when they started to say the year that they started. What would you say were some of your like biggest lessons that you've learned?
I think just starting, we had to kind of start, or we ran out of money. So we had a product that we really liked, but we hated our label. So we kind of had to just start out and sell. And I think that really helped us sell with a product that wasn't ready, but we had to start asking money for and start actually properly selling. I think that really helped us get real feedback from real paying customers. And I think if we would have probably had the money, we would have waited a lot longer, perfectionized the kind of product into what we thought would be perfect instead of listening to our customers. So we've had a lot of customer feedback and changes into our branding and also positioning and the way we tell our story and those kind of things. I think that really, really helped. Also on the on the product itself. And I think getting a co-founder is definitely good to help in the kind of difficult times. Less lows, but the fun times are more fun together.
Yeah, definitely. And when you did you go through a round of raising money?
Yeah.
How was that? Talk me through that. Was that quite male dominated as well? Going pitching to men in suits for cash?
Very male dominated.
Really? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But I think in the end,
you flirted.
No comment. No, it all went fine.
Fabulous. But did you guys go in together with that, like the two sisters, like because you're right, actually, looking at, I'm just thinking of like boardrooms in the city. I'm thinking of it being, I've never been in one, so I'm assuming it's very lots of men in suits. And then you two walk in, I can see how you'd be a total breath of fresh air. And men would be like, actually, they've got something, they've got charisma, they want it, you're passionate. Whereas, I guess what they've seen over the years has been quite similar. You came in and brought energy and injected it into the industry.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. There we go. That's the pitch. What's the best bit of advice that you would give to somebody looking to start their own business?
I think just go for it. I think the longer you wait, the more you have to lose. So also the younger you start, there is absolutely no opportunity cost. You don't have to stop a job or just try it. And do it in something that you're super passionate about, because it's long weekends and hours, but if you like it, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a day's work. And looking back, what would you say one of your proudest career moments has been at Double Dutch?
We got investment from Family Heineken in COVID, and that was really a kind of, the timing was so good. It was great to get such kind of high profile people on board, and they are super amazing and super helpful. So they've really helped us a lot. And we have a lot to thank.
That's amazing. Yeah. And trends over the next kind of 3 years, can you give us a little insight into like tonics and what's coming? Not necessarily your own, obviously we don't want you to tell us what's bringing out, but kind of industry trends, and what do you see coming out in the near future?
I think flavor innovation is still massively booming, and lots of people are now doing lots more crazy flavor combinations and ideas than they did 10 years ago. Obviously, the whole non-alcoholic is massively booming. And when we started, about 90% of all of consumption was with alcohol in a gin and tonic, or in a Moscow Mule, or in spirit mixer. And now it's only 70% with alcohol and 30% on its own. I think that whole non-alcoholic is just massively booming. And lowering calories, obviously. Wellness, healthy.
Are you guys low in calories in comparison to...
We are the lowest in the market.
Really?
It's as healthy as it gets.
Okay, so how do you sweeten it? Or is it just all the botanicals that you use?
We try to work, so we just use natural cane sugar, but we try to work with flavors and fruits that are naturally sweet from their own. So pomegranate and basil. Pomegranate is quite sweet. Watermelon is quite sweet.
Oh, great. No, we can have that later.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And how has Double Dutch adapted to changes in customer preference and in like really dynamic markets? How have you is there an example that you could say that you've had to be quite reactive to things? Or did you launch a product that you maybe didn't get great feedback on and you thought, right, divert, quick, change?
We did. We launched, for example, a Bloody Mary soda, which I thought was going to be completely newsbreaker, because I love Bloody Mary, but I just think it gets full after one or two because it's so juice based. So we made a Bloody Mary soda, which was clear and sparkling and really tasted like Bloody Mary, and it was super savory, super tomato, but the world is not ready for a sparkling soda, tomato juice based soda. So we took that out of the market again. We always said we would never launch an elderflower tonic because everyone does an elderflower tonic. And then we batched and we launched an elderflower tonic because they need an elderflower tonic. So we definitely have not always kind of kept to our business.
How do you enjoy Double Dutch?
How to drink?
How do you enjoy it?
I'm really into palomas at the moment.
Yeah, they're really like up and coming.
Yeah.
I love it.
So tequila pink grapefruit soda, super delicious. Cucumber watermelon with a super versatile with a white rum as a twist on a mojito, super nice. Or just with a London dry style gin, super summery. Even with a coconut rum. So cucumber watermelon is my all-time favorite, especially in summer.
Yeah, well, lol. Summer.
Yeah, it's okay.
What does that mean here?
It's
Exactly. Let's all go away. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to Getting to Grow with the amazing co-founder of Double Dutch.
Thank you.